So today we're going to see how to implement conditional SSO using OneIdP. So firstly, navigate to the getting started page where you can see the instructions to what you have to do. If you're in a trial, you can request for a OneIdP demo or read the docs or just request for access to the OneIdP trial suite. First, head to the directory. You can enter your organization information at the first go. You can enter stuff like the first support email, primary email, organization name, a logo for your organization, and a login hint that will be displayed to all your users. Then you click on Add Domain. You need to add a custom domain over here. You would also see an option to add a free domain using OneIdP. We offer you a free domain that's .oneidp.com. You can configure any name for this domain. This domain is specifically for you where you want to access the keycard feature or the SSO feature for any SAML application using the free OneIdP domain and provide conditional access on your devices. I have two domains configured over here. pm10.in is my Google Workspace domain that I've verified, and the verification is done very simply. You just need to go to where you've purchased the domain from, and just in a few clicks and uploading the txt file, you will be verifying the domain. Once that is done, you can head to enrollment configurations, user enrollment, and you have the option to import your users directly from Google Workspace if you have a Google Workspace account. Or else you can just add a user over here or use the upload CSV method to add your users to user enrollment section of OneIdP. You click on directory. If you've already added the users and you want to migrate them to OneIdP, just click on these three dots and click on migrate user. As you can see, I have all the users important already into OneIdP, so I'll just skip this. I can also add users directly from here as well. If I want, I can archive the domain or head to settings for the settings of user management, password settings, federated authentication, or multi-factor authentication for this particular domain. So there's a few settings that you can configure from here itself. Like if the users have access to email service in this domain, you can check this. You can click on auto migrate to users when users are imported from external identity providers. So if in the user enrollment section you import some users, they will be auto migrated to the OneIdP suite. You can also force password change on the first time use, or force password change on reset from dashboard. So if you reset the password from the dashboard and give it to your users, they can change the password then. You can go ahead and configure password settings for maximum password length, like must have an uppercase, must have a lowercase, must have a number, and all these settings that you see over here. You can also set a password expiry period from up to 0 days to 1 year. Federated authentication is here for if you want to consider configuring an LDAP source that would be used to authenticate users. So if you have an on-prem directory, you can have a on-prem connector. That's basically a solution for your on-prem directories or local directories. And then you would be able to do federated authentication. You also have multi-factor authentication. So the MFA policy allows you to secure access to your services when accessed from an unmanaged device, right? So you can have MFA for device-based login as well. In order to configure MFA, just come to the space, select multi-factor authentication method. It could be basically enable MFA using third-party authenticator app, and then you can configure the app on the third-party site or prompt. And after you do this, you can also select prompt for MFA setup on account activation. You can also enable an MFA using OTP sent on email or use MFA for keycard-based logins. It can be checked or unchecked. In case you want multi-factor authentication at the device level, you can choose this option. Now, heading to the section where you can configure conditional access. Under keycard, you can see that I've already created a keycard for myself. Keycard in OneIdP is a login interface that we give to the users so that they'll be able to access their local accounts on their device based on conditions if they're met. These are context aware signals that Scalefusion can monitor. With OneIdP, we enforce some restrictions on those devices at a device level. They will be able to log in using their work email credentials and the same password, and they won't need any other password or won't need to save anything else. How you implement it is basically click on Add New, choose an organization logo or do not configure. So I'm going to use a organization logo that I've added, right? A wallpaper, again, you can choose to not configure it, and a login screen message like use your work credentials to log in. Options, these options are basically for Mac and Windows devices where you can choose to hide or show these buttons. In Mac devices especially, during the login, you're not usually allowed to access the Wi-Fi, but with our keycard, you can access the Wi-Fi so that you can change it. If you have 2FA enabled, you would need the 2FA or a multi-FA functionality, which would depend on internet connectivity. If you're at a new location, you can still choose to change your Wi-Fi from the login screen. You can also click on Screen Preview to get a preview of the setup that you've just done for Windows and for macOS devices both. You get keycard settings where you can allow local user login for enrolled accounts, all accounts, administrator accounts, specify user accounts that you want to be able to access with local user credentials, or completely block local user login. Then we can check for the conditions at 3 frequencies: low, medium, and high. Usually on laptop and battery driven devices, we recommend you to keep it at low and medium. High would consume a lot of battery. For macOS devices, you also have automatic file vault login, right? So you can configure it so that that is blocked. So they would need to still have to enter the work credentials and the conditions to be met to be able to log in. Then you can save the local account passwords. Then you can save the passwords locally. So any work passwords that are first used to sign into a device, they get saved locally, and it doesn't depend then if the device is connected to Wi-Fi or not, so long as MFA is not enabled. Then you can select the new user account type. Whenever a new user is added to a device, you can select either standard or administrator. Then we have password sync, that's from 3 days. You can also bring it down to 1 day if you need to. Password sync reminder. Again, this is something that you can configure within a stipulated time. Domain settings. If you want to enable the domain sign-in on Windows devices, you can enforce the domain sign-in using this. This can also enable you to join the device on on-prem AD. You just have to enter the domain, the admin username, and the admin password over here. Coming to the main part, this is where we have conditional access. You can choose conditional access scenarios between location, IP range, Wi-Fi SSID, or day and time. For location, you can turn the toggle on from here, auto log off if violated, right? And set a geofence. In these geofences is where the device can be accessed through the login interface. If the device moves out of these geofences, the auto log off function will happen and the user will be logged off out of the device. Then we have IP range. Here as well, you can enforce an IP range on these devices and also auto log off if violated. So you can add multiple ranges. start IP address and end IP address for 2 or more ranges as well. Then we have Wi-Fi SSIDs. You can also enforce Wi-Fi SSIDs and auto log off if violation is detected. You can add a Wi-Fi SSID directly from here. Lastly, we have day and time, where you can enable time, and lastly, we have day and time, where you can enable time schedule. So again, turn this toggle on and then auto log off if violation is detected. So you can select the start time and the end time and use the device's local time or select the time from here itself. And then you can choose the days to be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or any one of these, right? So this is how you implement. You just click on save. You just click on save at this point. You just click on save and you enter the name and you click on save, and this is how you implement conditional access after you can once these settings has been configured, you can click on update and then publish. Select the profiles that you want to apply this policy onto. Click on publish, and then this is how you can achieve conditional access on the login of the device for your Mac or your Windows devices.